Blizzard. Now, I've had something to say about this company nearly every episode of this show. Somewhat because it was part of the biggest acquisition in gaming history, but also because there's no denying that Blizzard is a giant in this industry. Between Warcraft, Overwatch, Diablo, and more, Blizzard is in a league of its own. However, I will say in bringing them up so much, I'll admit I've not been kind to this company. I mean, I've been far kinder to them than they have to their employees, but the bar is low. I've shat on this company every chance I get. I've called it a den of iniquity, a hellscape, home of the human version of Garbodor. That one I just did now, but it still counts. See, Blizzard has a lot of problems, but the truth is, I hate because I care. See, I was obsessed with Warcraft 2 growing up. I pored over guidebooks for Diablo 1 and 2, completing those games with nearly every class. I would spend days building campaigns no one would ever see in the StarCraft map editor. And then there's Warcraft 3. When all my friends went to colleges and my slacker ass moved into a sad apartment near a community college, this game propped me up. Hell, last week I rambled on about how great Blackthorn and Lost Vikings were, games most people don't realize exist. See, Blizzard's entire catalog means more to me than I care to admit. And that's why I'm so heartbroken to see what they've become. Now, I hope that under the helm of Microsoft, we see a new era for this once great company. I don't expect the same company I once knew, but ideally a company better than we have. Now, I bring this up because this week was Blizzcon 2023, and the first Blizzcon under the Microsoft banner. With so many changes and games to cover, this yearly event feels bigger and bigger every year. Now, is Blizzard turning a new leaf? Too soon to say, but let's run down everything announced at BlizzCon 2023 anyway. Starting with Overwatch 2, a sequel so poorly received that it was killed an entire esport. The biggest announcement for this game would have been the inclusion of new Samoan hero Mauga, had it not been leaked and ruined online by Nintendo Switch News tab. Now, Mauga here is a cross between Maui from Moana and the Gunzerker from Borderlands 2. It's a cool character, and for people who still play Overwatch, a DPS tank seems to be a welcome addition. They also tease some looks at a new game mode, still not the single-player campaign, but that's never going to happen. A new map based on an old map, and 2 new heroes that kinda look like DeviantArt OCs, but it's concept art, so I'll be kind. Is any of this shocking? No. This game is designed to release new stuff monthly. They're going to be doing this till they run out of ideas and the next hero is Joe from accounting. But I'm sure the 8 people who have something good to say about Overwatch 2, this is exciting news. Next up, we have Diablo 4 and its paid expansion, The Vessel of Hatred. But not a lot of tea was spilled beyond the name. We know it's taking place in the jungle setting from Diablo 2, I think. Hopefully without the little pygmy monsters that made my life hell. It will also be released in late 2024 and will have a brand new class introduced to the series. Personally, with the popularity of Baldur's Gate, I'm hoping it's a bard. Like, let me charm monsters to a standstill with an ability titled Stay a While and Listen. Honestly, I've not gotten into Diablo 4 yet. I've just got too many games on my list, and as alluded to before, I'm not keen on giving Blizzard my full support. I hear great things about this one. And while I'm excited for the heavy post-launch support for a game, the line between yearly paid expansions and games as a service is like microscopically thin. Good news for me personally is that I don't have to like the game itself or even really play it to partake in that one thing I think Blizzard actually does best, lore. Blizzard announced 2 new ways to play their beloved fantasy demon fighting simulator, a role-playing game, and a board game. Now, the TTRPG will be out in time for BlizzCon 2024 and the board game in 2025, but allegedly, these 2 will have interchangeable components shared accessories, and expansions that will complement each other over time. Honestly, I think that just means they'll have a fuck ton of minis. But if that's the case, I am here for it. Give me my overcomplicated analog games and hook it to my goddamn veins. Hell, I bought the pewter miniature set when Diablo 2 came out during high school. And now, over 20 years later, I'm ready to finish the story. Next, it sounds like we have a top-down strategy game in the Warcraft universe. Like, finally. I don't know about you guys, but it sounds like such a return to form. I mean, it's exciting they would give us a deep strategy game with both a single-player and multiplayer capabilities finally returning to the Warcraft universe, and motherfucker, it's a mobile game, isn't it?
The team and I announced we were working on a brand new Warcraft game. A way to bring Warcraft with you wherever you are and wherever you go.
God damn it. Now, I will say they actually did a good job during the event hyping this up. Like, it sounds like it could be fun, but the fact that it's on mobile sinks it for me. Like, I'm trying to look past my biases, but a big company like this, with a previous history of pay to win, I just don't trust it. Like, Blizzard says they love strategy games, they just don't seem to want to make them. Now, speaking of mobile gaming, Hearthstone is still a thing. Crazy how, like, Heroes of the Storm tanked, but Blizzard's pay-to-win extravaganza still continues on. I feel like I would love Hearthstone if it was an actual card game, but here we are. The next expansion is a Wild West theme called Showdown in the Badlands, featuring some thematic mechanics like a jail system. They're also adding catch-up packs. Like catch-up packs, not what my mom puts in her purse. Basically, it's a single pack with 50 cards from the last 2 years of Hearthstone. So everyone who has been turned off by Hearthstone's pay-to-win model can now partake in the pay-to-come-back model instead. Well, that'll keep them around, Blizzard. Lastly, of course, we have the meat and potatoes of BlizzCon, the golden boy of Blizzard's lineup, and honestly, the thing I probably have the hardest time hating on, World of Warcraft. Executive producer Holly Longdale came out in her The Boys cosplay jacket to reminisce about the history of the franchise. As a side note, nothing made me feel older than talking about installing WoW off of multiple CDs. And this led to the first announcement of Cataclysm coming to World of Warcraft Classic. I dig this, but also, what? Like, Cataclysm was an expansion that originally launched back in 2010 and changed everything. A giant dragon, Deathwing, swooped down, destroyed the world, making old questlines unplayable, and transformed entire regions. I thought the whole point of WoW Classic was to play the version of the game before they changed everything. So now you're releasing the first expansion that changed everything? Now, Holly also announced Classic will be getting a hardcore mode and a season of discovery, which will add new secrets and class-altering abilities, changing WoW Classic as we know it, which again, sounds super neat. But also, what? Like, do I have to look forward to 2026 when Blizzard finally announces World of Warcraft Classic? They then follow this up by trotting out returning executive creative director and cool dad who absolutely played in a nu metal band, Chris Metzen. This honestly felt big. Like, people were hooting and hollering before the name was even said. Like, for a guy who looks like he takes over the grill at every barbecue he goes to, and not because he was asked, he was treated like an absolute rock star. He talked about how it's been 20 years since WoW's been released, and took nearly as long to get to the point of his presentation. Like, Chris vamped so much, I assumed we were actually getting WoW 2. But instead, we got the next big story, the World Soul Saga. That is a World Soul Saga. That's hard to say. Now, apparently, this is more than just one expansion. It's 3. The War Within, Midnight, and The Last Titan, which all sound like they could be Axe body spray scents. The goal is to make this the culmination of the last 20 years of adventure. Kind of like Avengers Endgame if I stopped watching after Ed Norton's Hulk. Now, the most information we got was for the first of these 3, The War Within, which will take place in the depths of Azeroth. This introduces new areas, an account unifying feature called warbands, treasure hunting instances called delves, and an allied race referred to as the Earthen, which are just reskinned dwarves. Like, I'm into lore and the World of Warcraft expanding, but it's a lot less fun that there are 10 allied races and only one of them isn't a color variant. That said, as someone who has been wanting to run Out of the Abyss for my D&D group, an Underdark style adventure in the Warcraft universe seems pretty rad. Also, let's get real, guys. Anduin's hot now, right? I mean, look at this beautiful blonde god. He looks like Taylor Swift is going to break his heart. I mean, he looks like he just came off of a CW show, and this is his big break. He seems like the actor got killed off on Sons of Anarchy because this gig was going to pay better. I mean, this man is too gorgeous. For a series that still thinks bikini armor is a solid form of protection during war, I'm glad we now have a himbo at the helm of Azeroth. Although, don't get me started on Grom Hellscream. I mean, that man is meaty. So what do you guys think of the BlizzCon news? Like, to be honest, I recognize I sound a little down on most of these announcements, but I'm also coming from a place of a guy who fell off the Blizzard bandwagon years ago. Like, BlizzCon, I'll shoot it straight, was not meant for me. I'm a bitter late 30s something that refuses to let the world forget how much of an asshat Bobby Kotick is. How's your countdown looking? 55 days till he's out of office. Congratulations. The mobile stuff, fully out. Don't trust it. Don't trust mobile games already, and I trust Blizzard monetization even less. The Diablo stuff is interesting, but I was already on the fence for that game. Like, I want to play Diablo 4, but I also want to play Mario RPG, Spider-Man 2, finish Wonder, finish Starfield, unlock all forms in WarioWare, move it. So Diablo's like not on the top of that list, and this didn't move the needle. The analog stuff is the exception. I have an entire IKEA Alex unit filled with my gray pile of shame. I'm probably never going to paint it, but I desperately want to add this Diablo junk to my collection. The one that kind of calls to me here is WoW. Like, I think picking the expansion that changed everything for the version that's supposed to represent the game before it changed is still silly. But that's also the expansion that introduced goblins and where I actually fell off of WoW initially, so I am a little curious. The War Within and the whole World Soul saga sounds neat and does have me tempted. But I don't know. Like, it seems like they're doing something big here. And as a sucker for the world and lore of Azeroth, I want to know where they're going. But I can't. They want to bring me back in, but
I am not that person anymore. I have no light.
if you guys have thoughts on BlizzCon and everything they've been doing, please, by all means, I encourage you, put them in the comments. Drop them in the chat if you're watching live, or put them in the comments down below. Let's start the conversation. Did anything, or do you guys still have faith in Blizzard? Are you less jaded than I am? I would love to hear that out. In the meantime, we're going to go ahead on a break. And when we are back, I got the man, the myth, the legend, Cag here, sitting down with me, talking about his experiences, all things Smash and everything in between. Stick around, folks. We'll be right back.